let's just settle into a nice, comfortable seated posture, and while we wait for everyone else to turn up. And I'll just put myself on gallery. Okay. So just try and allow your mind to just close your eyes and just allow your mind to kind of go inwards a little. Have both feet flat on the floor. If you are sitting at your desk, some of you may be sitting cross-legged. If you are, can I suggest you put something underneath your sits bones just to raise, just to create the right angle in your pelvic region so that your spine is straight. So if you're not very flexible, or you have you're not, super strong in your belly, it's likely that the lower back will just kind of sink back. It's best to be seated upright. And if you have tight hips, you can put a cushion underneath each knee. So for people who are sitting looking at, with their legs down, at their desk with their legs down, have your feet about hips width apart. Align your shoulders with your hips and imagine your spine is this beautiful string of pearls of light that stretch from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. And just imagine you're lengthening your spine, you're putting some space in between the vertebrae. And a little bit of length in the back of the neck. And bring your attention to the crown of the head and just imagine your scalp just relaxing, releasing. Relax the forehead, the eyes, the eyebrows, the nose, the cheeks, the mouth, back of the tongue, the jaw, the ears, the temples, and then the back of the head and the neck. Allow your neck to be nice and long, and allow the shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down, and relax your throat and chest and belly and all of your limbs. And Michael, if you could go ahead and just mute everyone. Thank you. Be aware of any sounds in your environment. Just allow those sounds to be there, trying not to follow them with the mind or running off to investigate. And then just sort of notice what might be arising in your mind this evening. So it's also about developing awareness around what's going on in our head. And so just take a step back and have a little look. Observe your mind for a moment, and with this attitude of curiosity and objectivity. So trying not to follow the story, just looking to see what's there without judgment, without criticism. And then bring to mind, some people of your life. So you can start with the people you love very dearly, your friends. And then there's those people in your life you don't like so much. And then there's our strangers. And they're all equal. They're just like you and me, because they all want to be happy. They all want to be free from suffering. And they all have this extraordinary capacity for a Buddha mind. So I think tonight of maybe someone who is, in your sphere that you've heard of, that you know about, or maybe if everyone in your circle is fine, maybe you can bring to mind some of these people from the recent hurricanes in North Carolina and Florida. One of our group, Barbara, has a very dear friend, Jen, who has some things going on with her kidneys. Sounds quite serious. I had dinner with them last night, and she's just bubbly and funny and sharp and humble. You would never know that she was in pain. So just a thought for her. And then think, we'll do this meditation this evening for all these people of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings. So I think we'll do this. Start by thinking with this practice. There is no negativity that can't be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. And we create negativity with our mind, so equally we can create positivity instead. So we start with this, the first of the 4 opponent powers, with this power of regret. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And you can think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general, regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. And we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions, and having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. And we cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we ourselves will experience. And we know from our present suffering, we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this. I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering, and also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others, and then think, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, well, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to this power of reliance. So we turn to the Buddha, who we see as a doctor, who has these methods that we can use to purify. And it's not that we're needing Buddha to forgive us. We're sort of not wanting this higher power. We're purifying ourselves by relying upon his methods. So imagine Vajrasattva above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is your teacher manifesting in this aspect, this form, for your benefit. And Vajrasattva is made of this beautiful, radiant, blissful white light, sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. And he has this beautiful, radiant face. And his eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. He has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion, and their being crossed represents the union of these two. And this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. And we have here this little section on compassion. So we think in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, and the very beings we've harmed and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of someone you may have harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we've ever harmed since beginningless time. And then think about someone who maybe has harmed you, and just have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you is going to result as suffering for them sometime in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these beings, and think, I must purify for their sake. And now we come to this power of remedy, and this is the medicine and doing the practice of the purification. So we start with the purification of our body. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid. And this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasivi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Koro Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Koro Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Koro Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Koro Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Koro Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Koro Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Koro Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. So then be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think that there's no way you could do anything except benefit others now with your body. And next is this purification of our speech. And Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and it arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So just imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking about people behind their backs and getting other people to agree with you. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Koro Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Koro Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drita meboa Sitokaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything but benefit others now with your speech. And next is the purification of our mind. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So you imagine you walk into a room that's dark and you flick on the switch and the light instantly dispels the darkness. So it's the same here. The moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, all the attachment and neediness and anger and depression, anxiety, resentment, jealousy, grudges, bitterness are all instantly dispelled. Not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Jita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Drita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya satra a hum pe. So again, be delighted that all your delusions, which are the cause and the source of all of our own suffering, and why we harm others with our body and our speech. And imagine this is just completely purified. They're all gone. And now imagine there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. And this time, imagine that Vajrasattva sends light and nectar, and it fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of this kind of very, very, this negative energy from your consciousness. Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drida meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpiyata sawa Kamasita me Sitam Shriyam Guru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drida meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpiyata sawa Kamasita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drida meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpiyata sawa Kamasita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drida meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpiyata sawa Kamasita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drida meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpiyata sawa Kamasita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drida meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpiyata sawa Kamasita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samayam manupalaya Vajrasattva dina patita Drida meboa Situkaya meboa Sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa Sawasidi mimpiyata sawa Kamasita me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra A Hum Pe. So now feel you are completely purified. There's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. Even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. And now we come to the power of resolve. And this is the fourth and the final step in this purification process. And it's really a crucial one, actually, because here is where you make a decision or determination that you don't want to harm. And you don't want to harm with your body or your speech or your mind. So without making a decision, we're never going to go anywhere or do anything. So it's kind of important to just decide, this is what I want. And this determination, this aspiration to not harm becomes like a beacon that guides your body and your speech and your mind in new directions. So first of all, rejoice in your efforts coming along here. And, particularly for those of you who it's like very late at night, or people who like to go to bed early and it's like already, 9:30 for you guys in Santa Fe area. So just rejoice in your efforts in, staying up and not going to sleep. And also for all of us here, just rejoice in the effort for coming along and doing the practice with everyone. And then think of something you'd like to maybe work on. Could be something to do with your speech, biting your nails, eating too much sugar, whatever it is. Whatever it is, your thing, your habit that you know is maybe a little harmful. Maybe it's only harmful for just you. Maybe you do, a lot of negative self-talk. So when you catch yourself doing that, maybe think about a different way of speaking to yourself. Oh, I've got a bad hip. No, your hip's not bad. Your hip's beautiful. It just has a creative way of expressing itself now. We're all getting a little older. So something like that. Just change the script a little bit to something more positive. So imagine Vajrasattva's delighted with us and wants to merge with your mind and melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown, and think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. So next, Rinpoche recommends to meditate on emptiness a little. So we think, in emptiness there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma. And there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, place your mind there for a little while. We can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. And we can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings, and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. So we have our 3 verses of chanting the names of Manjushri for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche. The dancer moving to and fro his hundreds of lengthy arms whilst setting down his stride, the dancer spreading through the whole of space and filling it with Shrimat's 100 arms, stood tall atop the surface of the earth, the sole of just 1 foot pervading all, stood tall atop the summit of the world, the nail of his big toe suppressing all. Are we up to, we have one more? Whose aim is one, whose aim is non-dual Dharma, whose aim is ultimate beyond destruction, whose mind consists of in groups of consciousness with varied objects, forms of, and cognizance. All right, so let's have a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long, for our precious Lama Zopa Rinpoche to return soon, and for all your own teachers. Lots of love, everybody. Good night. Take care. And I will see you next week. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for hosting, Michael.